Welcome to the Stoic Tide. The brutal truth is you're missing 99% of female signals. You're waiting for a direct yes. But that's not how women operate. Their language is the language of the body, the language of the unconscious. 100 years ago, Freud and Jung proved it. Our bodies never lie. They scream with desire. Even when our minds try to hide it. And while you're trying to decipher her words, you're missing dozens of nonverbal cues she's sending you every minute. You see a polite smile, but it could actually be a direct invitation to get closer. As a result, you do nothing. She gets disappointed and the moment is lost forever. Today, we're going to fix that. I'm not just giving you advice. I'm giving you a true decoder for female attraction. We'll break down 10 key signals from the most subtle to the absolutely direct. You will learn to see what's hidden from most men. And I promise you, the last row signals aren't flirting anymore. They are a green light, after which there should be no doubt. But I have to warn you, if you only watch until the middle, you'll only get half the truth. I'll reveal the most important key at the end. So before we start, please hit the like button for this video right now. And if you're new here and ready to go all the way for real knowledge, subscribe right now, Doc. And before we begin, I'm really curious about our geography. Please write what city you're from in the comments. Part 1. Visual invitations. Signals you need to see. Everything starts with eye contact. This is stage 0, where she makes an initial assessment and decides if this complicated game is even worth starting. Here, every movement of the eyes carries weight. And your job isn't just to notice these first messages, but to read them correctly. Signal number 1. The sideways glance with a slight smile. This is a fundamental maneuver that 9 out of 10 men misinterpret, dismissing it as accidental. What is it really? It's a calculated instinctive ritual. For a split second, she meets your gaze, then immediately looks down or away. And at that moment, a faint, almost secret smile appears on her lips. Why does it work this way? A direct, prolonged stare is a signal of aggression, a challenge, but this brief glance followed by looking away is the perfect balance. It says, "I've noticed you and singled you out. I'm not a threat, but I am interested. Now it's your move." What's biggest mistake here? Thinking she gets shy or looked away by accident and then doing nothing. The truth is, it's a deliberate pass. When you see it, you shall respond with a gentle smile and approach her a minute or two later. By ignoring this signal, you're failing the very first and most important test. Let's dig deeper. This gesture is a perfect example of social intelligence at work. A woman accomplishes 3 things at once with it. First, initiating contact without the risk of rejection. If the man doesn't respond, she can always tell herself and others that she was just looking around. This is plausible deniability. Second, testing the man's awareness and social courage. Will he notice his micro signal? And if he does, will he have the confidence to respond and approach? It's a powerful filter that weeds out passive and unobservant men. Third, creating intrigue. The indirect and slight smile create a sense of mystery in play, which is far more interesting than a straightforward egg. Imagine this. You're in a cave. She's at the next table. You feel a gaze on you. You look up and your eyes meet for a second. She immediately looks down at her coffee cup and smiles slightly. That's not just a look. It's an entire proposal written in invisible ink. Your correct response. Pause for 15 to 20 seconds. Smile back. And when the moment is right, approach with a neutral question. The anti-case immediately jumping up and saying, "Hey, I saw you looking at me." That shatters the magic and shows your impatience. Signal number 2, exposing the neck. If the firstest is passed, she moves on to deeper signals of trust. During your conversation, she might casually toss her hair back or tilt her head, exposing her neck. What does this mean from a biological standpoint? Evolutionarily, The neck is one of the most vulnerable parts of the body. Predators always aim for it. By showing you her neck, she is sending a signal on a primal animalistic level. I feel safe around you. I trust you. How is this connected to attraction? Sexual desire is impossible with the sense of safety. This gesture is a nonverbal permission to close the distance. She's not just fixing her hair. She's removing a barrier and giving you access to her sensitive zone. What's the catch? You shouldn't timidly lunge in for a kiss. This is an invitation not for action, but for further intimacy. It's a sign that you're doing everything right and can increase your efforts. Give compliments and reduce the distance. This gesture also has a hormonal explanation, displaying the neck and wrists, where the skin is thin and veins are visible, is linked to the subconscious desire to spread her pheromones. By exposing these areas, she is literally increasing surface area for evaporation, amplifying her natural scent, which affects men on a chemical level. This is an act of biological seduction that her body performs automatically without conscious thought. It can be compared to animals in the wild display their best features during mating season. She's showing you not only trust but also her health, her vitality. A typical mistake is to completely ignore this gesture. She opens up to you and you keep talking about work or the weather without changing your tone or distance. The correct reaction when you notice this gesture. Give her a compliment related not to her looks but to her energy. Say something like, "You're very easy to talk to," or "You have an interesting perspective." This confirms that you value her trust, not just her physical attributes, and allows her to relax even more. Signal number 3, the assessing glance. Now we've arrived at direct approval. At some point, her gaze slowly and openly slides over you from head to toe. Then returns to your eyes, often with an approving smile. What's happening in her mind? Her ID is at work, as Freud would say. Her primal instinctive part. She is no longer analyzing your words. She is sizing you as a male. Is he strong? Is he healthy? Is he confident? This is a biological checklist. How can you tell this apart from a judgmental look? A judgmental glance is quick, cold, and often accompanied by crossed arms or a tense posture. The assessing glance of attraction is slow, relaxed, and ends with a positive emotion. A smile, a nod, a continuation of the conversation. It has scanned you and remains in the dialogue. You've passed the audition. She has mentally given you the go, ahead in a physical level. This scanning glance is more than just an assessment. It's a mental try-on. She is trying to imagine how you would look together, how you would feel next to her. It's her imagination painting possible scenarios. Her brain is processing thousands of pieces of information. Your posture, your shoes, your hands, the confidence on your gestures. It's a kind of visual test drive. When a man catches this look, his first reaction is often totens up, to feel like he's being tested. That's a mistake. Your best tactic is to meet this gaze calmly, with a slight knowing smile, as if you're giving her time to enjoy the view. Don't look away. Don't start fidgeting. Your calmness in this moment is a display of strength and confidence that will only boost your score. The anti-case noticing this glance and starting to nervously adjust your clothes or hair. This instantly signals insecurity and shatters the entire image she might have already created in her mind. Just let her look. It's her right, and it's your right to enjoy her attention. Part 2, Subtle Hints, Signals. You need to think next level. Visual signals are just prelude. Now she begins to work with space and sensations, sending signals that need to be felt more than seen. This is the language of touch, symbols, and energy. Mistakes here are more costly because the game is becoming more intimate. Signal number 4. Touching her hips, legs during the conversation. She begins to casually stroke her own thigh or leg. This is an incredibly powerful, autoerotic gesture. She is drawing your attention to her erogenous zones, And more importantly, Cleosius imagining you doing it. Her hand in that moment is a projection off your hand. She is showing you where to look and what to think about. This is a silent instruction that her thoughts have long since shifted from the plain off ordinary conversation to that of physical contact. Let's break down the psychology of this gesture. It's called self-stimulation. When a person feels attraction, their nervous system becomes arrested. Light stroking is a way to relieve this tension while simultaneously enhancing the pleasant sensations. It's her body saying, I feel good around you and I want more. Moreover, it's another test. She's watching how you react. Does it make you uncomfortable, or do you accept it as a natural part of flirting? If you pretend not to notice, she might see it as a lack of interest on your part. But if you start devouring her with your eyes, you might scare her off. The ideal reaction is to notice the gesture, but not fixate on it. You can glance at her hand and back to her eyes, smiling slightly. This shows that you understood you're in the game, but you're in control and won't rush things. It's a game of subtleties, and your composure is the key to success. Signal number 5. The teasing shoe. Watch her feet. Is she sitting with one leg crossed over the other, playing with her shoe, letting it dangle loosely from her toes or even slip off? It's an most Freudian signal. The shoe half removed from the foot symbolizes their removal of barriers and clothing. It's a playful teasing hint that she's ready to get rid of other more intimate restrictions as well. It's a subconscious invitation to undress. Psychoanalysis considers the foot and shoe to be powerful fetishistic symbols. Playing with the shoe is a symbolic striptease. She's essentially saying, look how easily I can remove the first layer of defense. What's next? This gesture seems innocent, but it appeals to the deepest layers of the malus subconscious. It's also a demonstration of relaxation and comfort. A woman will never sit like this next to someone she dislikes or who makes her tense. This gesture is only possible in a state of complete trust and a playful mood. What's a possible mistake here? Trying to comment on it. Phrases like, be careful. You'll lose your shoe are a disaster. They destroy the intimacy of the moment and turn everything into a joke. The right behavior is to simply observe, enjoying this little performance. This gesture doesn't take a reaction from you. It only requires your presence and a correct internal assessment of the situation. She is creating an atmosphere. Your job is not to ruin it with a clumsy word. Signal number 6. Closing the personal space. Every person instinctively guards their intimate zone, roughly 1.5 feet 40 to 50 centimeters around their body. If a woman voluntarily and consistently breaches this boundary, it's a screaming signal. She accidentally leans in closer to say something, sits nearer than necessary, or finds an excuse to pass you something intoned. She's not just getting closer, she's testing your reaction. If you don't pull back, but accept this invasion, you are giving her a green light for further intimacy. This science is called proxemics, the study of how people use space. Invading someone's intimate zone is the sign that a person wants to move a relationship from a social plane to a personal one. She is literally testing you for compatibility. It's important for her to see how her body reacts to your proximity and how you react to hers. Imagine you're sitting at a table and she leans in to show you something on her phone, hers held her touching yours. This is a critical moment. Be anti-case, instinctively pulling away to give her more space. By doing this, you send a signal. I'm uncomfortable. You're too close. This can kill the butt-inch intimacy. The correct reaction. Hold your ground, perhaps even slightly enforcing the contact, for example, by tilting your head toward hers. With this you say without words, I'm comfortable. I like your closeness. I'm ready for more. This is a silent dialogue between your bodies, and you can't afford to get it wrong. Signal number 7. Breath synchronization. This is the deepest and most unconscious signal. one that's impossible to fake. When you are in a state of deep rapport, of complete understanding, your bodies begin to live in the same rhythm. You start breathing at the same frequency. You may not notice it consciously, but you will feel a shared state of calm and harmony. If you catch yourself breathing in unison with her, it's a sign that the deepest possible nonverbal connection has been established between you. This is no longer just flirting. It's a resonance on a biological level. Carl Jung would have called this phenomenon synchretia, a meaningful coincidence. Points to a deep connection between people. Your nervous systems are literally tuning into each other through mirror neurons. This happens when the level of empathy and trust reaches its peak. It's no longer a social game. It's chemistry. You can actively facilitate this process. Try to match your breathing rhythm to hers. This will enhance the feeling of connection and comfort for both of you. It's an incredibly subtle tool that allows you to establish rapport on a transcendent level. How do you feel it? A pause occurs in the conversation, but it doesn't feel awkward. You just sit in silence looking at each other. And in that moment, you feel complete tranquility and unity. In that instant, your bodies have already agreed on everything. All that's left is to make a conscious decision. To ignore this state is to ignore the most powerful signal she can possibly send. This is exactly the level of depth you will find in every one of my videos. If this is the approach you've been looking for, now is the perfect time to subscribe. Part 3. Directus. Signals you cannot AO. And now we've reached the finale. These are the signals after which there should be no room for doubt. If you see these and do nothing, you are simply insulting her courage. This is no longer a game. These are direct instructions for action. This is the moment when her subconscious takes over and speaks directly of her desires. Signal number 8. The accidental lean over. Drop something on the floor or leans down to get her bag. And she does it in a way that gives you the best possible view of her cleavage or the curve of her back. It looks like an accident, but it's a carefully orchestrated performance. She's not just being clumsy. She's directly showcasing her assets, giving you a free sample of what could be yours. It's a reward for your attention and a direct incentive for more decisive action. How do you distinguish an accident from intention? By the context and execution. A real accident is usually quick and a bit awkward. An orchestrated lean over is slow, smooth, almost theatrical. It's as if she's giving you time to look. Afterward, she lifts her eyes and checks your reaction. She is waiting for you to appreciate her gesture. This is pure provocation. She is raising the stochastic to the maximum, moving from hints to direct demonstration. The mistake here is to pretend you didn't notice out of politeness. That devalues her bold move. The other extreme is a vulgar comment. The ideal response is silent, but expressive. Catch your eye as she straightens up and let your smile or your gaze say it all. Let your eyes show admiration, not lust. This shows that you appreciate her beauty and her boldness, but remain a gentleman. This is exactly the reaction she is hoping for. Signal number 9, the seduction triangle. Eye lips. This is the penultimate and one of the most unmistakable signals. During a close conversation, her gaze begins to move in a specific trajectory. Your left eye, your right eye. And then her gaze drops to your lips and lingers there for a split second, before returning to your eyes. This is a nonverbal but completely direct invitation for a kiss. She's looking at your lips, because she's thinking about what it's like to kiss them. If you see this triangle act, she's waiting for it. From a neurobiological perspective, this gesture is a manifestation of mirror neurons and the brain's motor cortex at work. When she looks at your lips, her brain is already simulating the action, the kiss. She can almost physically feel it. This is no longer just a thought, it's a rehearsal for action. She is literally trying on your lips. This signal is impossible to fake or imitate without genuine desire. If you're in doubt, Just pay attention to her pupils at that moment. If they are dilated, it's additional confirmation of her arousal. What is the only correct action here? Slowly close the distance and kiss her. Any delay or worse asking, "Can I kiss you?" will shatter the moment and make you look insecure. Her body has already said yes in the clearest way possible. Your task is simply to obey this silent command. Signal number 10. Adjusting her stockings tights. And her right is the climax. The signal that erases the final boundaries. While near you, she performs an intimate boudoirect. For instance, she adjusts a slipped stocking or her tights, lifting her skirt slightly. This is an action a woman usually performs in completeprivacy or in the bedroom. By doing it in your presence, she is symbolically letting you into her most private, intimate space. She is showing that her level of trust in you has reached its maximum. This is a signal of absolute readiness, and an almost direct invitation to continue the evening in another more secluded place. This is the act of destroying the final social mask. Psychologists call it intimacy management. She is consciously or unconsciously showing you a part of herself that only the closest people see. It's as if she's saying, there are no more secrets or barriers between us. You are admitted into my inner world. It's a gesture. Ultimate trust and vulnerability. She is putting herself in a risky position, and your reaction to it determines everything. If you look away out of false modesty, she will perceive it as rejection. If you stare with blatant lust, she will feel like an object, not a partner. The only correct reaction is calm, accepting observation. You can smile slightly, showing that you appreciate her trust. This gesture is the final chord. After this, a conversation about going to your place or hers becomes a completely natural and logical continuation of the evening. She has already given you all the permission you need. Conclusion. So there they are. 10 keys. 10 steps from a barely noticeable interest to a direct nonverbal invitation. But understand the main point. This is not just a set of tricks or seduction techniques. These are the fundamentals of a new language. The language her unconscious speaks. And by learning to understand it, you gain something more than just success with women. You gain the key to understanding the hidden reality of human relationships. Think about the price you've paid for it, knowing this language. How many moments have been missed? How many opportunities passed you by because you were waiting for a verbal permission that would never have come? How many times did you agonize in doubt, not knowing how to interpret her behavior, and ultimately chose inaction which she perceived as indifference? This blindness, this inability to read between the lines, is the main source of male insecurity. Today, we put an end to it. Of course, a fear might be chewing in your head. What if I'm wrong? What if I misread a signal and get rejected? That's a normal fear. You'd understand this. The cost of one mistake is incomparably smaller than the cost of a lifetime of an action. Your task in the beginning is not to act on every signal, but to simply start seeing them. Become an observer.